Typhoon Rai, known in the Philippines as Typhoon Odette, was a powerful and catastrophic tropical cyclone that hit the Philippines. Paradise was the first Category 5 super typhoon to occur in December after Knock 10 in 2016, and the third Category 5 super typhoon to be reported in the South China Sea after Pamela in 1954 and Ramasun in 2014. The 22nd tropical storm, the 9th typhoon and the 5th super typhoon of the 2021 Pacific typhoon season, the system arose from a tropical disturbance near the equator on December 10. Near another low-pressure area that had dissipated the previous day. Conditions around the system were favorable for further development, and on December 12, it slowly escalated into a tropical depression. On the same day, the United States Joint Typhoon Warning Center issued a warning about the formation of tropical cyclones on a consolidating depression. Further intensification ensued, and the next day Rai turned into a tropical storm before passing south of Angulu Atoll. After passing near Palau and hitting the island nation, Rai entered the Philippine Zone of Responsibility on the night of December 14, where the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services named it Odette. The next day, both JMA and JTWC increased the intensity of the system to a low typhoon level equivalent to Category 1 as the eye continued to appear. As it approached the Philippines, Paradise suddenly quickly turned into a Category 5 super typhoon shortly before its first landfall through Siargao. It then slowly but steadily weakened, crossing the Visayas, out into the Sulu Sea. After its last landfall over Palawan, Paradise continued to weaken before suddenly re-intensifying to Category 5 typhoon levels by December 18, approaching Vietnam. The next day, Paradise entered another phase of weakening, which dissipated on December 22 southeast of Hong Kong. Tropical cyclone warnings have been issued for areas in the Philippines and parts of the Caroline Islands as Rai develops. The first bulletins were issued by PAGASA for Rai, starting on December 12, due to the fact that the system was constantly monitoring the situation in the country. As the storm approached the country, ground transportation was cancelled, along with flights and ferry services. People living close to coastal areas and caught in the storm zone were called for an evacuation. Fishing vessels were also safe, and many of the Visayas provinces began to prepare for the violent blow of the storm. Storm signals were also given by PAGASA, first focusing on parts of the Visayas and Mindanao, and then expanding further into southern Luzon. Food and non-food kits were also prepared by the Department of Social Welfare and Development for the evacuees, as well as a reserve fund of about $15,000. A forced evacuation was carried out as Rai approached the country, with some residents of the Bicol region being alerted to possible lahars from Mayon volcano. The Antiques Festival and vaccination campaigns in the affected regions also suffered. Fishing vessels in Vietnam's coastal regions were moved to safety, and thousands of people were ready to evacuate due to the storm. The flights were stopped and the crops were harvested ahead of schedule. When Paradise hit the Philippines, heavy rains and strong and gusty winds affected several areas around the storm's path. In many areas of the Visayas and Mindanao, electricity went out, and some provinces and areas were deprived of communication services. Fallen trees blocked many roads, and flooding was a major problem in the affected regions, especially in Bohol, where the storm was described as one of the worst in the province. Rivers also overflowed through the Cagayan de Oro, while many buildings were damaged. Surigao City reported that it was completely damaged and sought help. Bohol also pleaded with the government for help in relation to rise damage to the area. The provinces and Cebu are in dire straits. Damage to the aforementioned location is estimated at 5 billion won, $100 million, Surigao at 20 billion won, $401 million, and Negros Occidental at 5.9 billion won, $118 million. According to the UN, 13 million people will be affected in the Philippines. At least 515 people were injured, 56 were missing. Many public and private facilities were also affected by the hurricane.
Delikado tayo dito, Romel. Delikado tayo dito. Pag lumabas ka, lalo naman.
Narinig niyo ba yung mga agibis na hangin? Grabe, para kami tumatakbo ng